Hi, Sandra here from createinspain, and today I wanted to give you a little tip on stamp making. I have a stamp here which I made this morning. It took me very little time to do it, and it's giving me some very nice results, so I'm quite pleased with it. This was the type of negative that I did. Ignore the little lines around it. At the time, all I did was the Sandra and the two kisses. And I actually drew this with a 0.1 permanent marker. It's a Staedtler pigment liner in 0.1 as it happened. And I did the writing on my silver bullet, just putting the pen in the holder. Now, when you do writing with an electronic machine, generally speaking, most of the fonts you got are going to be double lined. So you want to make sure what font you are using is suitable for the effect that you want. But also it tends to mean that even if you think it looks like it's single-lined, it's probably going to be going over it as an outline rather than just one solid letter. When it's drawn, it will look like an outline, but it will be slightly thicker than your pen nib will actually lead you to believe. Now, when I made mine, I didn't bother putting a border around it like I'm just indicating here with the drawing. All I did was I used one of my frames. And so the stamp that I ended up with, and I'm just going to wipe it off because I don't want to get ink over my fingers, and there's probably still traces of ink on it. Mine is just a rectangle shape because that's what I had to make it form. Now, if you're going to use one of these stamp frames, you will probably still find, and you can just see a bit of it, probably just there, that some of the gel will get underneath the frame. And therefore, when you take it out, you could find, and you probably can't see it on camera, there's slight fluffiness on this top edge, very slight. And you have to be fairly fussy to think that it's a problem. I mean, this is one of the stamps that I did. So be aware of that. And if you don't want that to be the case, then what you need to do is make sure that not only do you actually write your text, but you put a pen border around it. And I would suggest that when you do a pen border, you swap to one which is 0.7 thick instead of a 0.1, because that will give you a much more solid border and it'll be easier for you. Now that I've shown you how to do negative stamps when you don't necessarily want to use a printer, and I admit it has a limited use, but it's useful to know that you can do it, I wanted to show you the negative I have here for a stamp set that I've designed. And there are lots of Christmas sentiments on here, some which aren't necessarily Christmas, and then I have a couple of critters, and I'll go into the critters afterwards. We have a Merry Christmas, Bah Humbug, Christmas wishes, hugs and kisses, festive greetings, don't be prickly at Christmas, it's snowflake season, from all of us, ho ho ho, who's been sleeping in my hat? Those will become more obvious in a moment. Happy New Year, pass the eggnog, get in the Christmas spirit, to all of you, and Christmas hugs. Now these are not that easy to see in this format, so I've actually stamped them after making the stamps, and I have watercoloured them so you can see them. Here we have Humphrey and Henrietta Hedgehog. I've given these two slightly different perspectives. This one, which is Humphrey, is coloured in a way that makes him look a little more prickly, I suppose. It was done with different tones of exactly the same colour watercolour brush pen, but I just coloured it in slightly differently to make him look a bit more prickly. And he looks really quite cute, and he's got into someone's Santa hat and he looks very snug and comfortable in there. And then we have Henrietta, who we're looking at from above, and she looks a bit more soft, a bit more timid, and it's a kind of a softer colouring, and I think this one looks really fun as well. Now, you can download the SVG for this if you are into making your own stamps, your own polymer stamps, of which I have many videos. I will put a link to a video up here. If you want to make your own stamp, you can use the design to make your own stamp. Private use only, not commercial use, if you don't mind. And if you want to just use the design but you don't make your own stamps, if you have your own electronic cutting machine, you can put a pen in the holder and you can use the file to draw them, and then you can colour them in. So you can use them no matter which way you do it. So this is what the negative looked like, although this is printed on normal paper. Printed it on tracing paper, cut them up, and did my usual thing and made the stamps, and these are actually from the stamps themselves. So you can see how fine the lines are on these. They are extremely fine, it's just like a normal pen line, and they came out really well. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed that. I said I'll leave a link to some other stamp making videos you can watch if you're interested in that. Thanks very much for watching. Take care now.